You guys, welcome to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. Today, I feel like this interview has been a long time coming. I have known of these ladies, I feel like for years now. I have followed their work through Access Hollywood and their amazing videos that they do with Housewives, Bravo, all of pop culture. But they have a podcast that I think is worth your time. It's called Housewives Nightcap by Access Hollywood. They're only 8 episodes in right now, and they're already firing on all cylinders because they're what we call in the business professionals. They do this for a living, and I just think they have access to some of the best, if not the best guests in terms of Bravo celebrities, in terms of behind the scenes dirt, or as tea, as we like to call it, even though I'm a grown man and I don't like to say that. But each week on this podcast, Housewives Nightcap, they spill the exclusive tea. They dissect the latest episodes and share the juiciest behind the scenes gossip. And I've just been listening to their episodes all morning. And truly, as a fan myself, I geek out. I was loving this podcast and I love them. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Lauren, Herbert, and Emily Orozco. Welcome to the show.
What an intro. Wow. I feel pretty special right now, Emily.
I know. And my favorite part was that we are professionals. I feel like we need a businesswoman special for lunch or something.
Yeah, the ladies who lunch move over. It's ladies who podcast professionally now. That's the new thing.
I am obsessed.
Yeah, well, we're obsessed with you. So it's such an honor to be on your podcast. I've been listening for so long, and this is so fun for us. So thank you for having us. Seriously.
I echo that. We are big fans.
No, I mean, truly, this has been a long time coming. In fact, I remember DMing with Emily months ago and going, oh my God, I want to talk to you. And I'm so disorganized that so it was great. It was great to be, I was like, yes, I want them on the show. Are you kidding me? Of course. But you guys, you got to also follow them on Instagram because their videos on, actually seeing these red carpet interviews they do. In fact, Lauren, you're coming up fresh off of last week. It was the Variety women, like the top 40 women in reality, I believe. And they did back-to-back nights, one at Kathy Hilton's house and then one at Spago, which I went to. You worked the red carpet on both of these events.
Yes. And it felt like BravoCon. It felt like BravoCon 2.0. Seriously. I was like, I just saw all of these ladies a couple of weeks ago, and here we are again. Kathy's was magical because I also got to go into Kathy's house. And oh my God, when I tell you it was a winter wonderland, there was snow in the backyard. There was Meredith in the corner doing bumps of her caviar.
Caviar,
Yes, caviar. Not, caviar.
Yeah, I was like, we are breaking news, folks. Meredith has a problem. Yeah.
No, of her caviar, and then you had Heather and Emily taking crazy photos together. It was a time, but the carpet was so great because you had Kathy, you had Kim, and you had Kyle all there. I actually talked to Kim, and that interview was a wild time. She told me that she dreamt of Kyle and Mauricio's split 2 weeks before she found out about it. As she's telling me this, I was like, what is happening? I don't know how to react to this, but it was a crazy time.
First off, Kathy Hilton, I have a feeling Kathy Hilton her house dresses for Christmas year round. I don't even know if she realizes we're in December. I just think she always has a winter wonderland potentially at her house.
Oh my God, that is so accurate.
That's what Kyle told me. That's what Kyle actually told me. She said the basement is always decorated for Christmas. So I mean, I would do that too. Why not?
Lauren, I was talking to the DirecTV people the next night at Spago because I had done some work with them and we were catching up. And they told me about that interview that I went up and looked at afterwards that you did with Kim. And I think they were even blown away, like all of the fandom was blown away at some of Kim's sound bites on the red carpet. And you guys are professionals. Does it shock you when you get, especially with Housewives, them to be as open where they are kind of giving information, giving sound bites that you're like, this is wild what I'm getting. Because I felt like that red carpet was filled with them at Kathy's house.
That red carpet was filled. And for me, I am also an editor. So I have my editing hat on going like, ooh, that's a headline. Ooh, that's how do I get another headline out of that sort of thing? And then I'm texting like my team going like, get this ASAP and here's the headline. But no, I think that's the great thing with Emily and we've interviewed them all so many times.
Mm-hmm,
so when I do see them on the red carpet, it's kind of like, oh, we're just having a little girl time. We're girl chatting. And then they get a little bit more comfortable. And then next thing you know, they're spilling the tea. Because I think that's what happened with Tamra. I interviewed Tamra at that variety party. And that's when she told me that her and Shannon had a falling out.
Okay, tell the audience. I yelled about this on my show last week, but remind the audience what she said there, because that can lead us into a big breaking news story of today.
I think it does.
Tamra was honored. Tamra was honored that night at this dinner, but you talked to her on the red carpet beforehand. What did she say?
Okay, so we're just talking OC, talking about the honor, and then I was like, Tamra, who was on the naughty and nice list this year on the Real Housewives of Orange County? And she's like giving me a little, right? I was like, this is how I get the tea in a very secretive way. And she's just like kind of looking at me. And then Eddie's like, start with the nice list or whatever. And I was like, Eddie, let's bring it back. Who is on the naughty list? And she looks at me and she goes, Shannon. Like she kind of hush. And I'm like, what? You guys aren't good anymore? And that's when she said her and Shannon had a falling out after or before Thanksgiving, haven't talked since. But I have to remind you, a question before that, we were talking about the whole John, Shannon, Alexis thing. And she was telling me that she doesn't owe anything to Shannon because they're not good. So I assume it has something to do with that. I do not know, but that is my assumption.
Okay, are you allowed to give like your real honest thoughts with me? Because this leads into People Magazine. I think they got the exclusive today. This is Tuesday, I believe. John Jansen and Alexis Foligno are now officially dating. Now, I just want to say, imagine you guys like in your real lives dating somebody or even just knowing about them for maybe a couple of months. Imagine them doing a press release announcing that you're actually dating. How does this even come to pass, you guys? Because you are, like I said, professionals. How does it come to pass that People Magazine gets involved to report on an official announcement of a new relationship? These guys can't really know each other that well. Can you walk us through behind the scenes of how stuff like this happens and why?
So to answer your first questions, yes, we can give you our honest thoughts. We only give our honest thoughts, which get us into trouble often. And we have to do a little bit of editing because we are a little bit too honest sometimes.
Not a little bit. I have to edit you all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, Emily. God, yeah.
Anyway.
No, I was listening. By the way, they interviewed Madison LaCroix a couple episodes ago, and they were giving very honest opinions about Austin on Southern Charm, which I appreciated.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's a punchable face. Yeah,
he said he had a punchable face. But so, okay, the way this happens now for a big celebrity, right? Their publicist or People Magazine reaches out to them for a scoop when there are rumors, right? But for Alexis and John Jansen, typically they are the ones to reach out to outlets and offer up the exclusive for their announcement. This is not something People normally indulges, but I do think that because of Shannon's recent scandal or rather accident, whatever you want to call it.
Incident.
Yeah. I do think that she, unfortunately, sometimes these incidents that are not great actually elevate the fame status of the housewife. So I do think Shannon became a little bit more well known, even to people that don't watch the show, right? And then we all kind of, people kind of found out about a relationship with John. And so people were probably like, you know what? This is going to click for us. So they did it. They took the exclusive.
I also think, yes, to echo on that, I do think now we have Alexis, who made an appearance at BravoCon, who, she introduced Vicky for her lifetime
achievement award. Yeah.
There's rumors that she's coming back. There's also Heather on the panel that we did at BravoCon. We asked Heather, who do you want to come back? And she said Alexis. So you have that mixed into it where, this is going to be a great storyline. Get Alexis back. She's going to be dating John Jansen, which is so crazy. And that's going to be huge.
I just feel like mentally Shannon Bedore cannot handle this season, especially. I feel like this is so brutal. And it also goes to the point what they were trying to make last season of John Jansen potentially being a fame, trigger warning whore, is that he really wants this attention. And I will say
100%.
Tamara said this for the love of God. And that's why your interview really enraged me, because this is classic Tamara of going like, oh, you need to stand by Shannon right now more than ever. And she even went on, did your little Tres Amigas tour, even after she ran. By the way, So Bad It's Good as an exclusive, we are interviewing the actual house that Shannon ran into. The actual house is cut. Yeah, no, Lauren, a house can't talk, so it's not an exclusive, but I imagine it would be a great interview. She goes like, we've been here for 40 years. My structure's always been sound. And then somebody hits me.
And then Archie and Shannon came firing through.
Who can get the Archie exclusive? Anyways, the Tamara thing really, that sound clip that I watched made me mad because it's classic Tamara of like, she's already thinking ahead about the next season. Like her friendships aren't with these ladies. Her main friendship is with the show. And I admire that in terms of like a business person.
Well
but
said.
Like, why ever? And Tamara's already unfollowed me this year for saying, my actual thoughts. But like, why ever trust anything Tamara says? It's got to be incredibly hurtful. I sometimes, even though Shannon's made mistakes, I have such strong empathy for her still.
I couldn't agree more. And you know what, Ryan, that made me think about how your Instagram totally does not reflect you, because your Instagram at times can be highly shady. And then in person, you're like the nicest, friendliest person. So you're either a Gemini or you just know how to work Instagram well. I'm a
Taurus. I'm a Taurus.
Okay.
But by the way, that was a question I had for you guys. I was going to save that for later, is that I think you guys, I was studying you and even your stuff at BravoCon, your on-camera interviews. I mean, you had Lisa Vanderpump, you had Andy Cohen, you had like the creme de la creme, as well as hosting a panels at BravoCon. And I always think like, you guys are so camera ready. You guys like know the questions to ask. Even Lauren was just saying, as I interview, I'm thinking of notes and headlines to send to my team. And sometimes like, I feel like, it's wild because I can do this. I actually have thoughts, but then sometimes I have this, I call myself the bad boy of podcasting, which is a joke. But I have these quick memes in my head of like, I'll fire off this joke. And I do feel bad about it sometimes. And I'm like, oh my God, as I get further in this, I have to dial this back. But it's so hard when you see that joke right there, because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I do want to call it out as I see it and also try to get a silly laugh out of it as well. How did you guys get to this point where you're so damn good at this, where you like, how did you guys start in this industry and find each other eventually? I know that's a big question.
That's a big question. It's a loaded question, but it's great. But I think the biggest thing for Emily and I, it's great that there's the two of us because we can bounce off each other. So if she's saying something or if I'm saying something, I can reel back like a good cop, bad cop sort of situation. Mm-hmm. But I'm on the digital side of things at Access Hollywood, where Emily can speak to it, but she's on the broadcast side of things in Access Hollywood. And both of us noticed, so she's in New York, I'm in LA. Didn't really know each other, but we love Housewives. And so in the pandemic, I interviewed a couple of housewives for digital. And Emily was like, wait, this is great. Like, we should start interviewing them more. And we ended up, one thing's led to another. We're like, let's start a digital franchise because we're kind of bored in the pandemic. And 3 years later, here we are. So,
because that's where Housewives Nightcap started, was on digital.
That's where
first.
Yes.
YouTube.
I noticed those videos starting to pop up.
Yes. So we would interview housewives every week, and we just loved Housewives. And it was one of those things where it's like, no one's going to tell us to do it. We just have to do it. So we do everything with it. We book, we produce, I edit, I write. And then Emily, we do it all. And so it's like,
talks.
And Emily, we both book, we both produce.
Yeah.
And it's just great because it's like, okay, the two of us, we can do it and no one has to help. And then now that like it's getting bigger, it's like, no, Emily and I, we're good. We're doing it all. So it's been fun.
I think it's also just about finding like that thing in your organization that is not there, right? Like a blank space. And for us, we are in NBC. We are friendly with all the NBC publicists, the Bravo teams. And it just felt like a missing space at Access Hollywood. We would get pitched all these housewives and Bravo celebrities. And we had no space for them because broadcast, wasn't particularly interested and digital was doing other things. And so Lauren and I just kind of said, well, why wouldn't we just give it a shot? But to clarify, we were not bored in the pandemic. I haven't had a boring day in my career in 20 years.
Okay, what
Our
was
plates
bored?
were full.
Okay.
Our plates were full, and because Lauren and I are worker bees and love to work, we were like, how can we further fill up our
How
plates?
can we
But what I want to say
more?
about this is I'm very proud of the fact that we did this all on our own. You know, we had support, but we really had to grow this on our own and show people that there was an audience for it. And it evolved into hosting panels at BravoCon, which is a really hard seat to get,
Oh,
you know?
so hard.
So, you know, we've really grown this on our own. And now we have so much support and so many people that believe in us. And yeah, hopefully.
No, isn't that always the case though? Is finding that little space that's like nobody's really filling in and showing.
No one's filling it.
I always fight for that, especially with Bravo and all reality television, is that these things deserve to be talked about. You know, it's like I grew up in a day where it was movies, TV, and music, and now reality television is still like, you know, not in its infancy, but it has a little bit of history now, but we're talking a 30-year history less than, and now it's, you know, the proliferation of it's getting more and more, but I think this deserves to be talked about. When I used to watch Access Hollywood that first week, they weren't covering reality television. They were covering Eddie Murphy. They were covering U2. They were and these things deserve, and I love that the digital space exists, that you can show them what this is about. And then what, you know, I think is happening more and more is that it moves on to the actual main show.
Yes.
You do get to start a podcast. You do, like, these things, there is a wide fan base that deserves respect. And that's what I mean, even at that variety dinner the other night, they with the Tamara, they did a podcasting segment of like Tamara, Paige DeSorbo, and I noticed it was the last panel of the night at the dinner, and people were talking over it a little bit. And I was like, this is everybody in this room's problem, is that you don't realize podcasting is a valid form of not just art, but of news. And like, everybody needs to quiet down because more people are listening to these things than they can possibly imagine. And this can help get your message out, which you guys deliver this message so brilliantly. I mean, are you happy so far with how this podcast is going?
Yeah, I mean, it's so much more fun because as you were saying before we were recording, our last week's episode was a little unhinged, and it's just kind of, you know, it gives us space for Emily and I to actually just kind of talk. And, you know, can I cuss on here?
Yes. Fuck yeah.
Okay, so like we shoot the shit, and then it's like, then we get into the Housewife of the Week or the Bravo Celebrity, where when we were just a digital franchise on YouTube, it was strictly the interview. So that's why I think we love doing it. And also it's a different audience. The people watching us on YouTube is probably not the same people listening to us on the podcast, or they're listening and watching. But I mean, I think it's been a total blast, and we just started, so we have a lot of kinks to still work out, but we're moving and grooving.
But you guys know that, I mean, it's like the work you put in, like you see that, and that's the great thing about podcasting is you get a lot of chances at bats. You know, like I always say, like, tomorrow's a new one, and just crank them out, and it's just grinding that thing. And like I always say, it's like at bats of like, I got to practice. I didn't do good in this interview today. I want to try to get better here. But I study people like you because I think it's so interesting to take what you do and then put that over to podcasting. And Lauren, you just mentioned relationships. And I got to say, that's what I truly did love in listening to your episodes are those conversations at the beginning and the end when I do realize you have a real relationship. I want to hear people that know each other. And then you can add in Gertie or Madison or any of these people. But I love the fact that you know each other. I love the fact that you can tease each other, because then it makes me feel like I'm a friend of yours. And I think that's what podcasting does really well.
I feel like your podcast is totally the same. Like, people really, like, you start feeling like we're just friends and pals and listening to your take on things. Like,
but if we talked in real life, that's how it would be.
That's how it would be.
Exactly.
We would talk about all of this stuff if we met in real life.
100%. And there's something just so interesting about people talking about their lives in an unfiltered way where you feel like, even if they're not famous, like Lauren and I are not famous, you know, like we're just like two gals at
you're getting there. You're getting there.
But there's something from your lips, okay? But there's something interesting about just getting like a peek behind the curtain of people's lives and hearing them talk in an unfiltered way, and because you relate to it and you kind of feel like, oh, like that's kind of what I'm going through, or, and just be able to get out of this, like, the world is so heavy right now. So I love content that is just, I always say I love lowbrow content. That's just what makes me happy.
Well, hey, welcome to So Bad It's Good, ladies. Welcome to So Bad It's Good. Yeah.
I don't know. So we hope that's what we hope we are delivering the most lowbrow content.
Lowbrow.
Well, listen though. Your interview with Gertie last week, and I always think this is, a shout out to these shows as well, is that you can go lowbrow with these shows, and we see these insane scenes like, Larsa and her reaction to Gertie's cancer and kind of outing her.
I will never be over that. I will never be over it.
You talked to Gertie, and it was also a great chance for her to talk about being cancer-free and to talk about her journey.
Yeah.
Do you guys... what's your take on that in terms of these shows bringing real issues into that? Are you always like, oh God, we have to hear about real life? Or is it something that makes you lean in a little bit more when you watch reality shows?
It also depends on what it is.
Yeah, something like Gertie, I think is so many women are affected. Like,
so important.
It's so important because I think 1 in 4 women suffer with breast cancer. And that could be, I could be pulling that statistic wrong. So forgive me.
It might be 1 in 8.
What she said. She said 1 in 4, 1 in 8. She might have said
it was 1 in 8.
Regardless,
we're breaking news on So Bad It's Good. 1 in 4. That's Emily's quote.
Science. Emily is now a scientist.
Emily Orozco said.
Like, you look at the female demographic of Housewives, right? It's mostly women. Like, Gertie's story specifically is something I think needs to be heard. However, that being said, outside of illness, sometimes when the ladies get more serious, I can't say I'm as interested. I love my Housewives loose and fun.
Goofy,
and
yes.
I love fighting over hospital smells. Like, that's what I prefer, Because in my real life, everyone's fighting over real shit. And I don't really want that in my reality life.
Well, I'm scared going into the political landscape of 2024 and going like,
oh
I
my
really
God,
do not need special episodes. Let's encourage everybody to vote, but I don't need another Roni where, the political system.
Watch part. No. We don't need that.
Yeah.
We don't need
that's,
that.
That is something we'll be dealing with on a daily basis in terms of news coverage anyways. I don't necessarily, and I think we've proven in terms of political landscape, that usually doesn't work well. But I think when somebody struggles with an illness, I think Miami's handling it beautifully where you get to handle this really, horrible issue that a lot of women go through, and Gertie is, but then also on top of it, use it to highlight the bizarreness of Larsa Pippen, who also, by the way, has to be a real hero for you guys in terms of podcasting and what you're doing, watching her do it so brilliantly on the show with Marcus, her podcast. But I think that show does it amazing because it goes everywhere. Miami.
Yes. I'm also loving Miami this season. It's chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Chef's
What's
kiss.
your favorite show on right now?
Ooh, this is really hard.
Lake.
I don't know. I just watched the screener for Beverly Hills.
Ooh, Send it to me. Send it to me.
Also,
wait, so you got dinner? Wait, you have Dinner from Hell Part 2. You have the continuation from this.
Wait, Emily, I haven't even told you this, but I make an appearance.
Wait, how have you not told me that?
On the red carpet,
I know, because
right?
I just found it on a red carpet. We just watched it. And Brogan was Brogan, shout out to Brogan. He's a producer here at Access Hollywood.
Wait, stop.
Brogan.
And so while they're... Oh, wait, I can't say anything more because... Yeah,
okay.
But watch
I will say, though, Lauren, that's my
Hills
dream.
Number one.
Yeah, my dream... You haven't been on an episode yet, Ryan?
No, my dream is to be like, Kyle Richards farted in a bathtub. And, like they just use my audio. Like that'll when I really made a difference, because you see it now pop up more and more. And I'm like, I've got to say something so ridiculous that it makes it to one of the Beverly Hills episodes. So you're saying, Lauren, that this week's episode is amazingly good?
It's amazingly good because I was thinking Salt Lake, Beverly Hills, Miami, and the Potomac. But now Beverly Hills is my number one.
Ooh. Emily, what do you think of Salt? You said you love Salt Lake as your favorite. What makes you love Salt Lake so much this season?
I don't like Monica. I find Monica highly entertaining. I just do.
She's
Would I want to have lunch with her? Absolutely not. But I think she's
Yeah,
been
would
such
I
a
give
good
her my
addition.
social security number? No way. But
Yeah, no.
she has all the colors of the rainbow. All of them are right there. And it doesn't mean that I think I would trust her with anything personal, but my God, she's fun to watch.
She's fun to watch. Something about Salt Lake brings me back to like old school Jersey days in the way of like, it is so like they're actually suing each other. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just
a storyline
on the cameras and a storyline. Like they're actually paying lawyers to sue each other, and Jen actually going to jail. Like it's very Teresa G 2008. So that's what I like about it.
You're
I like
so
that
right.
It's real.
You're dead on with that comparison to Jersey. And by the way, in Jersey news, the Freddie Mellencamp and Tamra, they are now producing the Jersey I call her Freddie. The Jersey podcast is now in full swing with Jen Fessler and Jackie Goldschneider, and they just released their first episode right this week. And we got actually a push news alert from Jen Fessler that she had
about
an impacted bowel. Yeah, she had an impacted bowel, and I thought, what a way to get your podcast out there. Will you ladies be announcing any impacted bowels to kind of get the podcast out there a little bit more?
Well,
so funny
Emily,
you mentioned that. I was dealing with a similar thing last week. No Ozempic though, just a natural backup. Just you know what happens.
By the way, this is great to call out Jen Fessler and go, I have a natural bowel impact. How dare you people using these dangerous drugs?
Yes. But I like Jen Fessler. I really like Jackie.
Really funny.
I can't say that I will be listening.
Ooh, hot take.
I know.
Well, let me take it over to Vanderpump a little bit because we just announced, the podcasting field is just crazy crowded right now. If you have a voice, you have a podcast in this day and age, especially if you're on Bravo. But we have Rachel Goes Rogue, I believe, is her podcast coming out in January. I'm sure it'll be the same week as Vanderpump Rules season premiere for 11. But I thought how interesting that all of these people are starting the podcast. And I sometimes wonder, are you starting it because everybody's doing it, or do you literally have something to say? And if you like Rachel's podcast, we will all listen for that first episode. And so it's up to her, but it's up to her. Like she has a real opportunity here to really if that one episode, if she really comes correct, then you could actually have a little bit of a career doing this. My hopes aren't high because she's usually not an effective communicator. I don't mean that in a mean way, but it just, what do you guys think about that in terms of other podcasts? Like you just said, I don't know if I'll be listening. Will you be listening to Rachel's?
Definitely the first episode, just how I listened to Amy and TJ earlier this morning.
We're back.
I will say it was really good. I was hooked. So I might
They're professionals.
Continue. Yeah. They're professionals. Emily and I don't know, but they are. No, but I definitely will be listening to the first episode of Rachel. I do hope, just like you said, that she takes that momentum. But who knows? Just how I listened to Tom Sandoval's for like two times.
I did 2 episodes,
He's not, nobody wants to listen to Tom Sandoval, period. Like, maybe we'll watch him with his ensemble cast on the show, but we don't want to listen to him solo. Like, absolutely not. I can't think of anything worse.
His podcast is fascinating because he have guests come on that ask him questions. Like, it's like completely role reversal.
So, Ryan, when we saw him at BravoCon, I kind of thought, man, he's going to be different. Because this was after we just interviewed Carl, and Carl was so remorseful, so emotional. You could tell. And then I'm like, okay, Tom's going to come in. He's going to act the same. No. And then we saw Emily and I saw him in the lobby, and he has his glasses on and his full outfit. And we're just walks past us.
Oh, I hid from him at the Delano. Yeah. I ran from him at the Delano, and I was like, I do not want to have a conversation with him right now. And it is, I want to say that too about who you guys interview. Would you take an interview with Tom Sandoval right now? Will you take an interview with Rachel in January?
So he was just pitched.
Yeah, he was just pitched to us. I think it's like TBD. To be honest, the only reason I would talk to Tom Sandoval is because I wouldn't be super nice, and I feel like everywhere he goes, not that I would be intentionally rude, but I think he has a punchable face. And that's how I would
Yes.
conduct the interview, you know, like just honest. So, and I feel like when he goes on Please, everybody's like kind of like nice to him. You know, who was it that he did it with Harvey? You know,
Harvey Levin?
Oh, and he didn't know anything.
No, the other guy.
The guy from America's Got Talent.
Got Talent, yeah. Remember when he did
Howie
that
Mandel.
Howie
And
Mandel.
he didn't know anything.
Yeah, like, you know, it's like
Howie's like,
when,
he seems like a
people-
nice guy. We should forgive him.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
like-
watch the show.
I feel like we are very non-biased. We just watch the show. And so we have an opinion, right? And that's how I would conduct the interview. So I would like to have Tom on just to do that. Rachel, I think she's really lost momentum. I think, Ryan, what you said was really poignant and perfectly said, which is, are you just starting a podcast because everybody's having one, or do you actually have something to say? And I always think about that in the broadcast field because, like, you know, the Lady Gaga movie where, what is it?
A Star is Born?
The Star is Born. And
Well, when he said...
and he says 12, there are 12 notes between
Yes.
every octave. And
Ooh.
12 notes, the octave repeats. It's the same thing over and over again. All you can offer to the world is how you see those 12 notes. And I think that's true in broadcast. You have to have something to say that's different.
Well, when I
Yes.
do interviews, I always think of the Lady Gaga movie as well, but it's the, I just wanted to take another look at you. I just wanted to take, which by the way, kind of is exactly how Morgan Wade sounds on last week's Beverly Hills
Oh
episode.
my God.
What did you guys think when that scene, first off, reminded me of a high school giddy, relationship of like, oh my God.
Giddy.
But what
Yeah.
did you think about seeing Morgan Wade finally after we've heard so much about her on camera?
That was so interesting. I think interesting is the right word because
Sure.
yeah, the voice too. I was not expecting her voice. I've definitely like heard her before, but I was like, I don't think I have because I was taken aback. But yeah, Kyle was giddy. But then now we're seeing how Mauricio is treating her on the back end where I'm like, you girl, go do your thing. She obviously needs the emotional support that she's not getting from Mauricio. And if that is from Morgan getting tattoos together, do your thing.
It was like, she was like, we get tattoos, we work out. There was a lot of we's for a new friendship, a lot of
Chemistry.
we's.
You can't deny
And
the
also
chemistry.
where the tattoo
Oh, Emily,
was.
100% they have chemistry. Oh yeah, where the tattoo was. And she was like,
Yes,
I'm going to get, what was
scandalous.
I want to get a spicy, what did she say? Like something,
Oh,
like a tamale
It was like
or
a
something?
spicy pepper. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to spicy pepper. And it was like, are we making private part jokes with each other and like winking at like I was blown away. But also this came out or was pointed out again this past week that Kyle suffered a loss in her personal life. One of her friends took her own life. One of her best friends took her own life. And I will say what's frustrating about that is that I want that on the show. Like, why are we not talking about that then? Why are we not? You want to know why I've changed, guys? You know what? It's because I lost a dear friend that really rocked my world. Because two things can be true at once. Like the Morgan thing can still be happening, but this other thing fills in so many of those blank spots that like, why don't we talk about this? Or are there certain things that we won't even cover on this show because they're too real?
I also think sometimes Bravo wants to stay away from that stuff because
It's a little
sometimes
too.
the ladies don't handle it as well as they should. So they literally know their cast cannot accurately
handle it.
comment.
Yeah, Sutton's like, you lost a friend. Well, I got a new horse, Santos. If something happened to Santos, I'd be very upset.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I do agree with you, though, Ryan. It is disappointing that we didn't get a little bit of it because, Kyle's done a 180.
I do think
And that's
we
fine.
are going to get a little bit of it, though.
I hope we do. I hope because I feel like why not why not mention this because it fills in so many blanks. And if we're actually looking at this as a case study in the human condition, even though that sounds silly to say out loud, why don't we put those things in? Because those are the things that actually motivate us to change our lives and to go through something really traumatic. How you come out on the other end can completely turn you away from a 27-year marriage. This is something that you've built a family up with. And also, we still don't know the real truth about Mauricio, even though we've seen him now for 13 seasons. We don't know. We assume that he's done a lot of things and we've heard a lot of rumors, but we don't know. And I find that the interesting thing too about these shows is watching them fight over what gets on air and what's kept off. It's like this push-pull of, I don't want it to be too real. And Kyle's now stuck in that vortex of, oh my God, I have to talk about this stuff.
Couldn't agree more. Also, it annoys me that Mauricio continues to be painted as husband of the year despite in the middle of a separation. Like, why aren't we getting the real on Mauricio?
They just all hung out together too. So I'm like, what the heck is going on?
I don't understand. Like,
but
clearly Mauricio is not the best husband, but we don't know why.
Love Bean. What are you talking about, Love Bean? Love Bean. What are you talking about?
Not that, Kyle and Kathy, obviously they've had their ups and downs how many times, but it is clear that Kathy does not like Mauricio. Not like Mauricio in all of her recent interviews when she's asked about it. It is obvious. So obviously she knows things.
I mean, it's infiltrating Kim's dreams. I mean, you got that exclusive.
I mean, Kim dreamt about it.
Oh my God. Speaking of NBC.
Interesting. Oh, sorry. You go.
No. Please go on with your thought. Sorry.
I just found it so interesting. I know Kim and Kyle have also had their waves of relationship. I just found it interesting that both Kim and Kathy found out about the separation in the news. So you had Kathy and Kim talking about Kim's dream days before the news broke, and then Kathy's calling Kim going, wait, how did you find out about this? Because now news is everywhere. So I just find it weird that Kyle didn't call her sisters.
Do you find that weird? Kathy didn't even know that her daughter had a child until she walked into the room.
Wait, Lauren, that's what I was just going to bring up, is that I spent the weekend, speaking of NBC and Peacock and all of these great things, I spent the weekend watching Paris in Love Season 2, and it is... just to look at that Hilton family and then to think that Kim and Kyle are from that family... You've got to watch Paris in Love. You don't even have to watch season 1. Watch season 2.
So good.
It is
I agree with
so eye-opening in terms of human behavior and how that family works and what could have potentially went down the pipeline for people like Kyle. And I was blown away by season 2. Like, even the story they were trying to tell, that's fine. But the story behind that story that you're watching of Paris's voice vacillating from like really low all of a sudden to that's hot, to her music career, to her husband, to the baby, nobody knowing about the baby. I just thought you guys highly recommend.
What was most shocking for you?
I think the most shocking to me was Paris's so many things, but Paris's internal fear that you could see so palpably on her face anytime she had to deal with her mom. That to me was so...
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
To me, I mean, I've known about it, but to see it, like to see her carrying in this baby for the first time, and then to see how they end the series with kind of a mirror scene of that episode that I'm talking about, with trying to surprise Kathy again, potentially. And I just walked away going, don't mess with Kathy. Like, I rethought every meme I had in my head of like, I'm not going to go hard on Kathy anymore. Like, Kathy should be feared, and you see how so many people do fear her just by her reactions. That was what was it for you, Emily?
Oh, 100% that the baby was a month old and Paris hadn't changed a diaper yet.
Oh, yeah.
I know rich people do rich people things, but
rich people
is wild. As a mother, I mean, I'm not a mother, but I'm saying
you need to tell me.
Breaking news! Her boyfriend in Europe that she just got taken there. They now have a child. Yeah.
No, but she is a mother, so I'm referring to Paris. Like, that's like a part of the whole bonding experience, the whole thing. You kind of like, I understand you don't do it all the time, but a month and you haven't changed your child's diaper, that was shocking to me.
It was, and I was trying to, but I was making excuses for that because I was like, listen, rich celebrity, I don't know how that all works. I drive a Corolla. I don't know, like, who knows how they do things. But you're right. Like the nanny seemed to have, even how she picked the baby up at times worried me.
I agree. It felt like she was not. Yeah. Listen, I love Paris, though. I don't want to trash Paris. I was kind of shocked, but also we are common folk, so we don't really know what the other side is like. This could be very common on the other side.
This could be.
Well, we'll find out in Paris in Love season 3. Also, I get worried about streaming now, even though Peacock truly, and I'm not, trying to kiss NBC Universal's butt, it is really kind of my number one streaming service just because of all of the Housewives content
really
on there.
good.
But I sometimes get nervous, like Paris in Love released this weekend, and I talked all about it. And I think the turnover of like, Well, by next week, will we have forgotten about this season? Will we be, because you consume it all so fast that sometimes you forget that, like, the thing that usually stays with you over the course of a Housewives season, like on Salt Lake, this slow build, or even Vanderpump Rules season 10, where they were able to tease this thing out until the very end. I sometimes worry about streaming of, like, I want people to watch this and talk about it, but sometimes when it's given to all of us at once, I sometimes worry about that, our thought process turnaround.
I agree with you.
Makes
like
sense.
I'm in and out of Paris in Love. Like I love it, but like I don't need like the clips come up for me on my socials. Like I'm good. I get the highlights.
Yeah. Emily
She's
gets
good.
the highlights, you guys. She's
No,
good.
but you know what?
No, I know what you mean.
Wait, can I just also say for my broadcast job, I have to watch so much scripted content that the reality, like I love watching, but that's my fun time. You know what I mean?
That's
like I'm
right.
constantly watching. I'm screening everything all the time.
I tell my audience this like on a daily basis now, was that this was my dream as a kid. You're telling me I get to watch TV and then talk about it. And now I've been interviewing like a lot of authors or celebrity, like I just said The Situation on today. And I was like, if I would have told it was so fun. And I got to read his book and I was like, I was like, oh, I can't believe I got to finish this book. And I was like, listen to yourself. This is you are at the mountaintop. Yeah. This was the dream. But I want to take people into your job, both of you guys, but Emily in particular. I want to point out, since you do not just Housewives, you do it all. You just went on this press junket for Wonka, and I was watching your clips from that interview. Yeah. When you go to what is the difference for you internally and externally, what you're trying to, in terms of talking to a Hugh Grant and a Timmy Chalamet, as opposed to, say, a Ramona Singer? What is the difference for you going into those interviews, and how nervous do you, will you take us through that a little bit?
Yeah, it's such a good question because it's totally different. I feel like I live two different lives at one job, right? So, go ahead, Lauren.
I was just laughing.
Oh, it's true though. I really do. It's like
I was trying to silent laugh.
I go from like sophisticated Emily to like trashy Emily, and it's like they both exist within me.
I get trashy Emily.
You get trashy Emily.
Nice, honestly,
You're like she's like the Incredible Hulk, you guys. She's the Incredible. Sometimes she hulks out and does Bravo, but she's Bruce Banner, a mild-mannered scientist.
It's true, and. Sometimes in my broadcast interviews, so you're right, it is a lot of A-listers. Like, I'm very blessed. I just interviewed Julia Roberts yesterday at the premiere for her new Apocalypse.
Oh, the Netflix.
Yeah. So, I'm interviewing people of very high caliber that have had really esteemed careers in Hollywood. And it's very different when you walk into that room. You feel like there are a lot of parameters in terms of their publicists are there. Their publicists represent a lot of other A-list talent. So it's important that you are well respected. Yeah. You want to enter the room and be well respected and ask thought-provoking, good questions that are also, listen, I work for Access Hollywood, not CNN. So they need to be fun without crossing a line or being disrespectful. And these days actors think they are very highfalutin. So you need to have your pinky up and be very, it's gentle and it's a dance. It's a very, you get 8 minutes to sit down and ask the celebrity these questions that, you want to respect the film, especially if you love it. But in addition, our audience wants to know personal things. They want to know funny things. They want to know silly things. So we have to approach that. And it's a dance. It's kind of, you don't know what mood you're going to walk into. They could be in a really bad mood. They could be tired. Timothy was very tired. He was still funny. And Hugh was hilarious.
He was so funny.
But Timothy that's a good example of Timothy being, he was very tired. Oh, I have scoop on that.
Yes. Give me
Okay. So as we were walking out, it was me and another reporter. And I was standing there. We were the last ones around leaving. There were still other reporters there. And all of a sudden, whose face? So Timothy gets in the elevator and he leaves. Okay. So he's gone. Who's next? Kylie Jenner. Her face is right there. She's standing there in black leather. And
of course she's in black leather. Yes.
And she's going into the elevator next. And I look at the reporter with me and I'm like, turn around. And I didn't play it cool. Neither did the other reporter, which we both confessed later on. For people that see celebrities every day, we were very starstruck, which is so weird because I don't even really care about Kylie. I think it's just because
you weren't expecting her.
But also what she represents in all of pop culture. It's
and
huge.
then she'd be at his junket. Like, I was shocked.
In fact, I was just going to say, I feel like I haven't seen them around each other in a minute, and I kind of scour a lot of, but so she took I mean, hey,
So
that
she
might
took
just be
the
a
next
coincidence. They might just
elevator.
randomly be in the same building, and they might just randomly be,
I don't think Kylie's on the junket floor.
I thought you were going to tell me he FaceTimed her or something, and you saw her
No,
face that
she was
way.
there in the flesh.
Which
It was
that's
shocking.
support because
What does she look like in the flesh?
It's already been reported. So,
yes,
I'm just an eyewitness.
That's amazing. That it really is good tea. Although Timothy Chalamet is at an interesting point in his career, so well respected, but he's at that point now where he's dressing like he's like somebody from the Matrix.
He didn't, it's interesting. He didn't want to answer my fashion questions, so I pressed him on it because I was like, "This is such." I said, Timothy, you talk about your fashion sense. I love it. You're slaying. Can you talk a little bit about it? Whatever, good questions. And he says, well, I'm inspired by Hugh Grant's satirical
sartorial,
yeah, he tried to kind of throw it to the side, and then Hugh answered something like silly, and then I was like, back to your fashion sense. So because why aren't you just giving me a fashion answer?
That's not that hard of a question. It's not like you were.
You know what? Fashion is very personal for Timothy. Fashion,
he didn't want it, but he did ultimately give a little bit.
My question is, the night before he was at the red carpet, and that man must have been so cold. He was like in a dumb V, and I was like, oh, chilly.
Shout out to Timothy for that. I do also want to say he did so many interviews, and he was freezing cold. So I do have to say, I really respect him. He did not need to do all those interviews. And so,
listen, I feel like, and to shout out what you guys do again, though, is I feel like we're in a time where movies need to be saved, the movie going experience. And part of that is, selling your wares, is going out there. I watched press junkets my entire life on shows like Access Hollywood, and I want that to continue forever. I want movie stars out there. I support Timothy. By the way, he's playing Bob Dylan next, I believe, in a movie. I can't even imagine Timothy as Bob Dylan. Good. Okay, as we wind down here and start, what is to come? What is in the future of Housewives Nightcap for you guys? And where do you, in your dream of dreams, where do you see this going? Like live shows? Where are we going?
Yeah. Well, this week we have Heather Gay, who was great, who I will say told us that, we're telling her how much Salt Lake is on fire, and she's like, just wait. Like, seriously, just
it's supposed
wait.
to get
and
insane.
Then insane. The black guy will be answered, but she said that's like nothing compared to everything else. We also talked about the lawsuit. So that's this week. And yeah, Emily and I are just, we're booking Teresa. We have a couple of big ones coming down the pipeline. Yes, we're tree huggers, which sometimes I know people hate.
It's hard. No, it's hard because
we are.
I don't know. I like elements of both of them. And I was on Melissa's show a couple months ago, and I had a great time. And it is interesting to think of them as real people. And I will say this, is that at that Spago dinner, I went outside for a second, and I was next to Louis, Teresa's husband, smoking a cigarette. And we got into this conversation. I didn't tell him what I did. He was like, what do you do? I was like, just something. But I was like, we got into a conversation about family and being out here. And I just thought, what an interesting conversation. If I didn't know anything, I hadn't watched the show, I would have walked away thinking, what a lovely conversation. And it was, but it is it really actually was a very kind of weird, open conversation. I just got back from my dad's and Thanksgiving, and we were just kind of weirdly, he asked if this is where Pretty Woman happened. Is Rodeo close to here? And I was like, it sure is. It sure is, Louis.
Yeah, it sure is. Jersey thing to ask. Go to LA once and ask where Pretty Woman is. I was like, call PK.
Paul PK will hook you up with the Pretty Woman experience. But where you guys want to head? Besides the interviews, where do you?
Live shows would be amazing.
And then also what?
Go ahead. No, I was going to say we love hosting panels. So more hosting gigs like that with our ladies. We love that.
That's a goal for me too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think our 2024 goal, because I'm speaking it into existence. I was just talking to our lovely, fantastic PR how do you say PR? She's on the call, and I'm calling her a PR lady. But
no, Amanda's awesome. Yeah,
Amanda runs PR for Access Hollywood, and she's the best person in the entire world. But we're speaking into existence Emily and I being bartenders on Watch What Happens Live. So,
oh, you guys, that's a no brainer. That's going to that's not even that will
that's
happen.
A thing.
Period. That will happen. Like
that
what
will
are we
happen.
wearing, Laura?
That's our
what are we wearing? Well, maybe wear something that Timothy Chalamet wore on the Wonka tour. Maybe that could
honestly,
you could coincide right there.
That would be iconic. But no, we just have a lot of fun with this, and I think for both Emily and I, this is not really a part of our day jobs whatsoever. So it's just a fun thing that we can do that is now becoming more a part of our day jobs, which is great, and it's helping other things. So I just, at the end of the day, Emily and I are actually friends, and we have fun. And as long as it's still fun, I'm happy.
Well, it's really fun to listen to it, and you ladies are amazingly fun to talk to right now. But also, I want to argue for Access Hollywood to do a 2-minute Housewives recap on the main show every week that you guys host of This Is What You Need to Know in the World of Bravo. I would love to see you ladies do that because I think it would be great cross-promotion for the digital and for the podcast and all of these things. You could put it into one, and I think there is enough people out there that would truly, truly love that. Lauren and Emily, please tell me you'll come back because this felt like talking to two friends.
Well, Ryan, we need you on our podcast.
We need you on our
podcast.
I think I am coming on your show.
Hopefully,
I was like, I think I am. Hopefully,
no, you are. You are. I'm so excited because this is great. But also, can you call up people, Ryan? Because that is a great idea. We'll have you call up the executive producer and NBC, and there you go.
Listen, I'm such a huge, that's what I'm saying. I do, but I'm a huge fan of these things. I'm a huge fan of things that get entertainment news out there. I don't laugh at it. I really take this very seriously. And you guys inspired me now to deactivate my Instagram account so I can be taken more seriously in this. I'm joking. No, I'm joking. But it is one of those things. I really, you ladies inspire me, and I want to try to do more of, not Access Hollywood, obviously, but you guys are the, two of the people that I look up to, that I'm like, God, it's such amazing what they get to do. And I don't think people know what goes into what you do and how hard you work, because we just see what you present on camera, which is so beautiful and glitzy and glamorous, and that there's a real job that goes into all of this, and you guys excel at all of that.
You are so sweet, Ryan. I've been following you for forever, so to hear you say that is a little meta. I don't know how to react because you're cooler.
Well, no, I come off like a monster on Instagram, so you're like a monster telling me that we're
no, you don't come off like a monster. You're funny.
You're so funny.
Throw shade, and in person, you would think you're super shady in person, but you're so genuine.
You throw shade in the most
hilarious.
It's the most perfect way where, as a housewife fan, I'm like, yes. Anytime you do the Sutton voice on your podcast, I just die.
I say, Emily and Lauren, you two are the best interviewers in Housewives I've ever met. I say. Sorry, yeah. Anywho, it sounds like just like. Everybody's like, I know it's not a note perfect imitation. Okay, this is getting off the rails, which is really great. I can't wait to talk to you guys again.
Yes.
Anything that I can ever do to help get your show out. I mean, because it's 35 to 40 minutes. Some of these things, it's really the perfect time frame. It's not 3-hour extravaganzas. And you get behind the scenes dirt.
People can also fast forward Emily and I talking shit and then get into the main part. So
no, I want the shit part as well. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of good interviews, some good BravoCon tea. They're going to have, the red carpet tea from last week. All of this stuff is on there. So I think it's a really great mixture. And you guys are the captains of a really strong built ship. So I can't wait to talk to you again. And I'm right now I'm going over to do Sheena's podcast. Shenanigans, as I call it.
Wow. Wait, that's going to be so fun.
So famous.
Yeah, that's the
thing. I know
she
would love you, ladies. I'm going to actually bring you up when I meet.
We can't wait to have you on.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, no, I mean, you should go on her show, too.
Because you're the perfect.
I will be so honest.
Amanda.
But when Amanda told us that you agreed to have us on, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, we were
shocked.
So. Oh, immediately. Immediately. Oh, there she is. Amanda just popped up. Okay. Housewives Nightcap. And what do we do for
Yes.
people that take the time to come on this show? You go subscribe, guys. Apple Podcasts and Spotify. What else you do is you just rate it 5 stars. You know, we don't want to be negative. We want to actually, like, this is something that people do and put a lot of work into, and just give it that honor of just giving it 5 stars, because for a new podcast, especially, you want good placement on things like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And sometimes it's a mystery on how that all happens. So really do that service to those ladies and for my show as well. And I will talk to you ladies very, very soon. Thank you so much, Emily
Very
and Lauren.
soon.
Thanks,
Thank you, Ryan. This was so much fun. And we're going to have so much fun when you come on ours. So, yay.
Yes.
Woo!